You're rolling?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me about brief about yourself and where you have started your life from?
Yeah, so I was born in a small town called Kadiri from Andhra Pradesh. It's very close to Puttaparthi and Bangalore. So I had the great privilege of going to Sri Sathya Sai University at the time, the only institution with English medium and boarding education. And it was more of an education in value systems and living alongside a cosmopolitan culture. And there was a heavy emphasis on character building and not so much on academics. And they were also extremely adept at building you as a well-rounded personality and inculcating value system in you and giving you the extracurriculars exposure. So I had the full benefit of it, and the donor of that school happens to be Kulwant Rai, the father of Vinay Rai, who is the brain behind All Ladies League. And one day I went to meet him in Delhi because he's a close friend of mine, and he meets me and hands me this letter saying, "You are the chapter chairperson of London." And then he calls me and says, "We have the first annual conference in Goa, can you come?" And I said, "Of course," because he has such a goodwill built with people across all strata. And he's a really good man.
So how you have started your career?
So my primary education was in Kadiri. I went to a Telugu medium school, a government high school in fact, and I was a really bright student and I was very gifted. So I used to be extremely good at a lot of things, not just in academics. And when I passed out of 10th, it was a real dilemma for my family to send me out for an education, because I come from a conservative Muslim background, and my grandfather who brought me up had never seen any female leave the house, leave alone for education. So there was a big debate in the house, and my mom, who was with me here at the conference, she stood up for me and said, "Daddy, if she wants to go, let her have her way." So then a compromise was reached in terms of this Sathya Sai University, and because it was an all-girls school and it was a boarding school and pretty close to home, everyone agreed to send me there. And from there I never looked back. So once I went to Sathya Sai University, I got to know about IIT, and I got an admission into IIT Madras, and I joined there for BTech program. And after that I continued with my higher education despite some more resistance from my grandfather, but he very generously he let me continue with my higher education in MBA at XLRA Jamshedpur. Then I joined HSBC. I worked in Bombay and Calcutta, and I was sent for my training abroad in London. So we had a 3-month training program where we had exposure to Europe and the training cohort from all over the world. So seeing the resident trainees, as they were called, from HSBC, we had it was sort of a finishing school for management trainees, and we had a rotation program which gave us exposure to all aspects of banking: commercial banking, retail banking, treasury, and so on. So that was the origin of my international career. So then I came back to Bombay and worked there for a few years. I had the great privilege of working under one of the best brains of India, Mr. Ravi Mohan. He's no more, but he trained me and he took me under his wings, and he really nurtured, because he spotted talent in me and he believed I belonged in the international league. He always said that a job would not be challenging enough for you. You have to be an entrepreneur. So I was grateful that while he was still alive, I could at least show him my card saying I'm MD of my own company. And then he passed away. So that was the beginning of my career. So I went to Wharton Business School from CRISIL, where Mr. Ravi Mohan recommended me. And once I graduated with a major in finance from Wharton, I went back to London as an investment banker, which had been my dream for a long time, because I was a mathematics person and very passionate about finance. So I joined UBS, which is a Swiss bank, and I continued my investment banking career in London for a few years. I was a vice president when I left banking, and I got to see the real buoyancy and the high and the adrenaline of working as an investment banker. And it was a great boom period as well for the leverage finance and financial sponsors group where I worked. So it felt like being amongst the high flyers in Wall Street. So I really lived my dream. So I'm very lucky to have done that, because few people get the opportunity to live their dreams. So my dream was to be a Wall Street banker, a really young and dynamic one. And so once I was over that dream, I thought I really should become an entrepreneur. It wasn't an easy ride for me. I struggled for quite a bit, because I didn't know the ropes of entrepreneurship. It took me a few years to find my feet as an entrepreneur, but I think I have done that now. I have been an entrepreneur for 5 years, and less than a year ago I launched something called FinTech Storm series, which is a monthly content series on financial technology. This brings the latest disruptive technologies and the most promising startups to the common man in London, and I provide a platform for these innovators to come together, to exchange ideas, and to catalyze and build the ecosystem. This has been received very positively. There has been an overwhelming response. I launched in Bombay as well 2-3 days ago, and we had CEOs from payment companies, from Suvidha InfoServe, so all sorts of very original thinkers who are trying to fill the gaps in the Indian ecosystem. And payments being such a potentially huge space in India, where there's opportunity to bring the masses of unbanked population into the ambit of some sort of payment features. And a lot of entrepreneurs have spotted the opportunity, have been there for a few years, have built networks, they have applied for payment licenses with the RBI, and sky is the limit for them. And I'm privileged to be one of the few female entrepreneurs in that space, and I'm trying to build a fintech product myself, which may be a year or two in the making.
That's great. Any moment which you feel, any worst moment in your career which you feel that it should not have come? Or if it has passed away, you feel that I should have done it more properly, and it gave you a good lesson, a good experience.
So my career is full of such moments. There was one where in the last year of my stint in Bombay, before I went to Wharton, my then MD, I think it was the in charge of my division, wanted me to do business development rather than the mainstream of ratings, of which I was a manager. And that didn't gel with my personal objectives of being in ratings, because ratings is much more intensive, and I've always been in mainstream, whereas business development is an ancillary service. So I was reluctant, but the manager was very persuasive and very assertive. So anyway, I relented and joined business development, but that happened